It is not a Gary story, and I'm not sure that it was from the beginning because he was killed in Gary. He's a Gary cop, but he knows a lot of people, and the law enforcement community
Is huge.
is everywhere.
Yep.
So it's a law enforcement story partly, and that includes everybody.
Absolutely.
And part of that is, as Jeanie knows, her aunt Carol is second in command at Purdue now.
Yep.
Nice.
In Lafayette.
Okay.
And she has the bulletproof vest, and they have problems there just like everybody else. And whenever there is a law enforcement happening up, and we'll see her. She goes, "Oh, did you hear about this guy in Crown Point? Oh, did you hear about this in East Chicago?" And I'm like, "No, I did not hear about it." But the law enforcement community did because they are very tight. We're looking at over 1,000 law enforcement people. And each one of those people are going to go to that today. And you know dang well they're going to sit there and they're going to go, for the love of God, it could have been me sitting in a car, somebody coming up and shooting me.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what you do with that right now. And I'm glad I'm not covering that story. I may ride my bike down to see the procession as it comes to Ridge and Klein and pay my respect because I'm going to go for a bike ride in a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the region's in shock, don't you?
Yeah. The brazenness of, the guy sitting there in his car, I think is the most shocking thing. You kind of, if you're in pursuit of someone, I think you kind of expect it, sort of, or you can rationalize it more. But, someone coming up and, popping you in the head or, whatever it was, that's just an act that's crazy.
Seems like right now is an incredibly tight time. I mean, there's like 3 big murders at one time. But, I mean, has it affected you?
I think that as journalists, you both probably know, you hear those stories and you're reading them over and over again on the air or writing about them, and they just stick with you. And I can think of 2 right off the top of my head that, I just remember every gruesome, gory detail of covering it and talking about it. And I don't know if it's so much, or I don't know the effect that it's had on me. I guess it's taught me that the world is a nasty place. And, you're going to have to report on things and talk about things that aren't always, sunshine and rainbows. But it's definitely made me a stronger person, I guess.
Like, for instance, I think it becomes, creepier when it's closer to home, like that, domestic that we had at St. Mary's, because I live in Griffith. That was really disturbing. Or, a few years ago, the fire with the girls that came from Munster in Griffith. You think, oh, my God, this is where I live. And that's kind of scary. When it's not in your, where you live, it's, it's like, oh, another, I don't know how you feel about it, but I just kind of, this is kind of the territory. And
you know what? I will tell you how I feel about it. Most of the time, I'm like you gotta, it's almost like being a doctor or, you can't be too emotionally involved in your patient. I mean, we have to go on and cover that story and then go on and make, do our other stuff. And you got to write the story about the Greek Fest.
Right.
And then I've got to go on and talk about Alzheimer's, or I got to go on and congratulate the soldier who has just come on. You can't get lost in the malaise of that. But I will say this, that once in a while, it has hit me a couple of times. And last Monday, after the murder of Jeff Westerfield was starting to come to light, I came home, and I wasn't able to shake it. I wasn't able to shake it on the show. I knew that I wasn't doing a good job that I could do on the show. And then when somebody just walks up to a guy and shoots a cop sitting in his car doing his report or, talking whatever he's doing, and shoots him and then walks away and he's dead and he had 9 kids basically.
Yep.
I mean, that one, it kind of affected me for the whole day, but then by the next morning, you just got to come in for the next murder.
Right.
Finding the body in the end of the... As a matter of fact, last week with those 3 murders, it culminated on the air on Friday. We're doing a show, and Alexis is here, and as we're doing it, we're getting more details about this 2 double stabbing in a hospital and so forth. After a while, once in a while, it hits you. You don't know when that's going to happen.
Right.
Jeanie, thanks for joining us. Michelle, thanks for coming
Jeanie.
in. Read Michelle's account of the funeral of Jeff Westerfield in tomorrow morning's Post-Tribune.